There are whispers in the world, subtle, elusive, yet unmistakable. A mother waking in the night, certain her child is in danger. A man who, for reasons he cannot explain, avoids a fatal accident. A woman who dreams of a loved one's departure days before it happens. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of something deeper, something ancient and hidden. For centuries, mystics, shamans, and sages have spoken of an unseen thread connecting all living beings, a web of energy, intuition, and fate. Some people, whether through birthright, practice, or sheer sensitivity, can sense disturbances in this web before they fully manifest in our reality. They can feel when death approaches, sometimes as a whisper in the wind, other times as an unshakable certainty in their bones. But why? What allows certain individuals to glimpse beyond the veil while others remain blind to these unseen forces? Is it an ability we all possess but have forgotten? Or is it a rare gift granted only to a chosen few? In this video, we will explore the mysterious phenomenon of sensing death before it happens. We will journey through ancient teachings, scientific theories, and hidden esoteric knowledge to uncover the truth behind this enigmatic ability. You will learn why some people experience these premonitions, how different cultures have understood this phenomenon, and, perhaps most importantly, how you too can begin to sharpen your intuition and perceive the subtle messages the universe is constantly sending. But be warned. Once you open your eyes to these mysteries, you may never see the world the same way again. Throughout history, stories of those who sense death before it arrives have been woven into the fabric of nearly every culture and spiritual tradition. From the ancient shamans of Siberia to the mystics of the Middle East, from the philosophers of Greece to the sages of India, each civilization has recognized that some individuals possess a heightened sensitivity to the unseen forces of life and death. In ancient Egypt, priests of Anubis were said to perceive when a soul was preparing to cross into the afterlife. They believed that death was not an abrupt end, but a carefully orchestrated transition, preceded by shifts in energy that the attuned could detect. In some cases, the dying themselves would experience this awareness, describing strange visions, hearing whispers, or feeling a pull toward the other side days before their passing. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Pythagoras spoke of the soul as a harmonic resonance that could vibrate beyond the physical body. He and his followers believed that those with a pure spirit could perceive subtle changes in these vibrations, allowing them to sense when a person's life force was weakening. Socrates himself reportedly foresaw his own death, accepting it with an eerie calm. Moving eastward, the Upanishads of India describe a concept known as prana, the life force that flows through all living things. When death nears, this energy begins to withdraw from the body, creating ripples in the unseen world. Yogis and spiritual practitioners trained in deep meditation have long claimed to perceive these changes, sometimes even knowing the exact moment a soul will depart. Even indigenous cultures of the Americas held similar beliefs. The Lakota Sioux spoke of wanagi, or spirit warnings, which came in the form of visions, dreams, or an overwhelming sense of dread before a tragedy. Their medicine men were often consulted when such signs appeared, interpreting them as messages from the spirit world. But it is not just spiritual traditions that recognize this phenomenon. In more recent times, there have been scientific inquiries into the nature of premonitions and the human brain's ability to detect danger before it consciously registers. Some researchers speculate that deep within our subconscious mind lies an ancient survival mechanism, one that can sense shifts in the environment, changes in electromagnetic fields, or subtle biological cues that indicate when death is near. Is this a lost skill, one that we, as modern humans, have neglected, or is it something more, a sign that consciousness itself transcends the limits of time and space? As we move deeper into this mystery, We will explore the core mechanics of how some people seem to predict death before it happens. Could it be tied to heightened intuition, ancestral memory, or even the nature of time itself? To understand why certain people sense death before it happens, we must first acknowledge a fundamental truth. Reality is not as solid as it seems. Modern physics tells us that everything in the universe is made of vibrating energy, from the smallest particles to the vast galaxies. Ancient spiritual traditions have long echoed this idea, describing existence as an intricate web of interconnected forces. If this is true, then death is not a sudden event, but a gradual shift in energy, one that some individuals, whether by nature or training, can detect before it fully unfolds. The energy shift before death. Those who have been near the dying, whether nurses, hospice workers, or loved ones, often report sensing an unexplainable change in the air. The room feels different. Time seems to slow. The person may appear physically present, but something in their essence feels as if it is already elsewhere. Esoteric traditions describe this as the unraveling of the life force. In Hindu and Buddhist teachings, the prana or chi that sustains life begins to withdraw from the physical body days or even weeks before death. This shift in energy is subtle, but detectable to those who are sensitive. Some describe feeling an invisible weight in the air, while others experience a sudden sense of sadness or foreboding without knowing why. In many cases, it is not just the dying person who experiences this transition. Those closest to them often feel it as well. Parents sometimes sense when a child is in danger, even across great distances. Siblings, friends, and even pets have been known to act strangely before a loved one passes, as if they are receiving an unspoken message. Premonitions in dreams and visions. One of the most common ways people sense an impending death is through dreams or visions. Countless stories exist of individuals dreaming about a loved one's passing days before it occurs. In some cases, the person who is about to die appears in the dream, offering cryptic messages or bidding farewell. Why does this happen? One theory is that during sleep, the conscious mind quiets, allowing deeper, more intuitive parts of our psyche to perceive subtle shifts in reality. If death is a process that unfolds energetically before manifesting physically, then the subconscious mind may register these changes before the waking mind does. In many spiritual traditions, dreams are considered a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. The ancient Greeks believed that the god Hermes guided souls between life and death, often appearing in dreams to deliver messages. Similarly, many indigenous cultures believe that ancestors communicate warnings through dreams, preparing the living for what is to come. The role of ancestral memory. Could the ability to sense death be an ancient survival mechanism? Some researchers suggest that it is a deeply embedded trait passed down through generations. Our ancestors, living in the wild, had to be hyper-aware of danger to survive. If a member of their tribe was gravely ill or near death, the subtle shifts in their energy, behavior, or scent might have signaled the approaching end. Even today, many animals exhibit an uncanny ability to detect death. Dogs have been known to stay beside terminally ill patients in their final moments. Cats in nursing homes have been observed curling up beside those who are about to pass. Some birds and even insects exhibit unusual behavior before a natural disaster or large-scale loss of life. If animals can sense these unseen shifts, why wouldn't humans, especially those who are more attuned, retain a similar ability? But there is another possibility, one that challenges everything we think we know about time and reality. What if those who sense death are not just detecting energy shifts, but glimpsing something deeper? Could they be tapping into a level of consciousness that exists outside of linear time? In the next section, we will explore how quantum physics, the nature of time, and altered states of consciousness may hold the key to understanding this mysterious phenomenon. If death is not merely an event but an unfolding process, then those who sense it before it happens may be tuning into a reality beyond ordinary perception. But what exactly are they perceiving? Is it an energetic shift, a premonition, or something even more mysterious, an insight into the nature of time itself? Time, death, and the quantum connection. In our everyday experience, time moves in a straight line, past, present, future. But modern physics suggests that time is not as rigid as we believe. Quantum mechanics introduces the possibility that past, present, and future may all exist simultaneously in what is called the block universe theory. If this is true, then perhaps some individuals are not sensing death before it happens, but rather tapping into a moment that already exists outside of linear time. This would explain why premonitions often feel so vivid and undeniable. Some who have sensed an approaching death report feeling as if they have already lived the moment before it arrives. Others describe sudden flashes of knowledge, an overwhelming certainty that something is about to occur without knowing how they know it. Could it be that in moments of deep emotion, trauma, or transition, the boundaries between past, present, and future become more fluid? If so, then those who sense death may not be predicting the future in the way we typically understand, but rather perceiving a reality that exists just beyond the veil of ordinary awareness. The role of altered states of consciousness. Throughout history, mystics, shamans, and spiritual practitioners have described experiences where they gained knowledge beyond normal perception, often through meditation, trance, or deep intuition. These altered states of consciousness may be the key to understanding why certain people sense death before it happens. Consider the case of near-death experiences, NDEs. Many who have come close to dying report seeing events from their future or receiving messages about what is to come. If the mind, freed from its usual constraints, can glimpse beyond time in these moments, then it is possible that those who sense death are temporarily slipping into a similar state, if only for a brief, unconscious moment. Even in everyday life, heightened emotions can trigger this shift. Intense grief, love, or fear can push the mind into an altered state where perception expands. Have you ever had a moment where time seemed to slow and you just knew something was about to happen? These flashes of insight may not be coincidences, but rather moments where the mind briefly steps outside of its normal limitations. The spiritual perspective. Messages from beyond. Many spiritual traditions suggest that those who sense death before it happens may not just be picking up on energy shifts or glimpsing beyond time. They may be receiving messages from beyond the physical world. Mediums, shamans, and spiritualists throughout history have claimed that spirits, ancestors, or divine forces can warn the living of an impending death. In many cultures, it is believed that the soul begins its transition before the physical body ceases to function, and in this liminal space, messages can be sent. Some describe hearing whispers, feeling a sudden presence, or experiencing an unshakable knowing that someone is about to pass. These experiences challenge the materialist view of reality and suggest that consciousness may extend beyond the physical realm. But how does one develop this ability? Is it a gift granted only to a few, or can it be cultivated? In the next section, we will explore practical techniques for enhancing intuition, recognizing subtle energy shifts, and becoming more attuned to the unseen forces that shape our reality. If certain people can sense death before it happens, is this ability an innate gift, or can it be developed? And more importantly, how can we use this knowledge to deepen our understanding of life itself? While many cases of death premonition seem spontaneous, there are ways to sharpen intuition, heighten awareness, and become more attuned to the unseen forces that influence our existence. Below are practical techniques that may help cultivate this deeper perception. 1. Strengthening intuition through meditation and stillness. Premonitions often arise in moments of quiet clarity, when the mind is still enough to perceive subtle shifts in energy. Meditation is one of the most effective ways to heighten intuition, as it trains the mind to be more receptive to subtle insights. Practice. Set aside 10 to 20 minutes daily to sit in stillness. Focus on your breath and allow thoughts to settle. If a strong feeling or thought arises, observe it without judgment. Over time, patterns may emerge, flashes of insight, unexplained emotions, or even symbolic visions. By developing this practice, you may become more attuned to the silent messages that pass through consciousness, the same type of impressions that often precede a significant event. 2. Recognizing patterns and symbols in dreams. Many people who have sensed an impending death report vivid dreams that seem to carry a message. Some dreams feature direct warnings, while others convey emotions or symbols that only make sense in hindsight. Practice. Keep a dream journal and record any strong emotions, symbols, or recurring themes. Pay special attention to dreams involving death, transitions, or unfamiliar places. If a dream leaves a powerful impression upon waking, sit with it. Ask yourself, does this feel like a symbolic message or something deeper? Throughout history, dreams have been regarded as a bridge between the conscious and subconscious mind. Some believe that they can also serve as a link to the spirit world. 3. Paying attention to energy shifts. Have you ever entered a room and felt an unexplainable heaviness, as if something unseen had just occurred? Energy is constantly shifting around us, and some people are naturally more sensitive to these fluctuations. Practice. Before entering a new space, pause and take a deep breath. Pay attention to subtle bodily sensations, goosebumps, chills, a tightening in the chest. Notice whether certain people or places feel unusually heavy or charged with emotion. Some, who have sensed death before it happens, describe experiencing an oppressive, almost suffocating energy in the days or hours before a major event. By becoming more attuned to energetic changes, you may recognize shifts that would otherwise go unnoticed. 4. Enhancing sensitivity to premonitions. Premonitions often manifest as a feeling, an unshakable sense of knowing that defies logic. To sharpen this sensitivity, you must first learn to trust your instincts. Practice. Start by noting small, everyday, intuitive feelings. If you feel a sudden urge to check on someone, write it down and see if it connects to anything later. Notice moments when your instincts were correct. Over time, patterns may emerge, reinforcing trust in your intuitive abilities. If a strong sense of foreboding arises, instead of dismissing it, sit with it. Ask yourself, is this fear or is this something deeper? The more you acknowledge and validate these feelings, the stronger they become. 5. Rituals for honoring life and death. Many ancient traditions viewed death not as an end, but as a transition. If you wish to deepen your connection to these cycles, consider simple rituals that honor both life and the mysteries beyond. Practice. Light a candle and take a moment of silence in remembrance of ancestors or loved ones who have passed. Spend time in nature, observing the cycles of life and death, the falling of leaves, the renewal of spring. If you ever experience a strong feeling about death, instead of fear, approach it with reverence. Acknowledge the message, but do not let it consume you. Death is not the opposite of life. It is an inseparable part of it. Those who sense it before it happens may not be cursed with a burden, but blessed with a deeper understanding of existence itself. Throughout history, certain individuals have reported sensing death before it happens, not as a curse, but as an unexplainable knowing that transcends logic. Whether through vivid dreams, sudden feelings of dread, or an overwhelming sense of stillness before tragedy strikes, this phenomenon challenges our understanding of time, consciousness, and the unseen forces that shape our reality. But perhaps the true lesson is not about death at all. To sense death is to be deeply connected to the rhythms of existence, the ebb and flow of life itself. It is a reminder that we, too, are part of something far greater than ourselves, bound by invisible threads that stretch beyond the limits of what we can see or prove. Instead of fearing these premonitions, what if we embrace them as signs of a deeper awareness? What if, instead of seeing them as omens of loss, we recognize them as invitations to live with greater presence and reverence? If you have ever felt a strong intuition, a sudden knowing, or an unexplainable pull towards someone moments before something significant happened, perhaps you too are more connected to this hidden web than you realize. The ancients believed that true wisdom comes from understanding not just the mysteries of life, but also the inevitability of death. To walk this path is to awaken, not to despair, but to the extraordinary gift of the present moment. Now the question is, will you listen? If this video resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had an unexplainable premonition about someone's passing? Let's continue the conversation and explore these mysteries together.